I'm Mike Hulvey, President and CEO of the RAB, and welcome to Radio on Main Street, the podcast that's all about radio. Earlier this year at the NAB Show in Las Vegas, we were thrilled to be able to sit down with industry leaders and have far-ranging conversation. Today, you're going to hear from an amazing leader with a big vision and passion for our industry. But first, special thanks to Enco and Benstown for allowing us to bring the Radio on Main Street podcast booth to the NAB Show in Las Vegas. We were literally set up on Main Street on the floor in the West Hall. It was a fantastic experience. Well, today is the 12th episode in our 2025 series, and we had a wonderful conversation with Samuel Tatum. He is the Senior Vice President of National Audio Sales and Partnerships at Urban One. During that conversation, we hit upon some very important topics, including multicultural marketing, recruiting Generation Z and Generation Alpha, also data and measurement, plus enthusiasm. You can't listen to Sam more than 30 seconds and not know there is real passion and drive behind what he does each and every day, but also the why. Welcome to the Enco booth. Sam, it's more like the Enco studio.
It's the Enco studio.
Isn't this awesome?
I
now,
love this.
in the demo, they can actually run a car right between us. Stop, the door opens, and, like we could climb in virtually and then drive off.
What kind of car, though?
It's a blue sports car. Is that acceptable or not?
I may need something a little bit higher.
You need a higher
I'm
car.
a little bit older than you.
Well, hey, thank you for spending a few minutes with us here at RAB at the NAB.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you presented earlier, in the conference as well. We'll talk a little bit about that, but let's talk about what your role is. Share with us where you're at. You're with Urban One. Spent a lot of time in DC. Love to get home to New York. I've spoiled that part of it, but tell us Sam's story.
I think you've done my whole job. That's it. Thanks for coming, everybody. Samuel Tatum. I have been with Urban One for 20 years, almost 21. Urban One, as you know, is the leading multi-platform, largest distributor of Black content, radio, digital, television, and they've been in business for 44 years. So for almost half of that time, I've been with the company, and I'm super excited about just the future. My role with the company is I am the Senior Vice President of National Sales, Integrated Marketing and Partnerships, and specifically I'm tasked with the audio division and our cross-platform efforts and initiatives with our national brand partners.
Sam, you got 21 years in. You're working for a family company, generational. Which is important and is an asset and a positive to be sure. Explain what that experience has been like for 21 years, because our business has evolved.
It has evolved.
Half of the things that you just talked about in terms of what you interact with did not exist when young Samuel walked into the front door at Urban One 21 years ago.
And that wasn't even my first job in the business. So I started in Baltimore radio at WQSR, which you may or may not remember, Steve Rouse and Company. So I started as an account executive. Didn't even really think radio sales was going to be something I wanted to do. Sort of fell into the job and started to like it, and I stayed with it. And so, say 5 or 6 years into my career, I was recruited to join Radio One at the time.
Right.
And to be honest with you, just like you said, would I have saw this as my trajectory? No, but I came in as a seller, and I've grown over the years, basically holding every position in a local market that you can. Local sales manager, general sales manager, digital sales manager, NTR sales manager. Many of those roles don't even exist. Director of sales, Vice President of Integrated Marketing and Partnerships, and then my current role. So the path has been filled with ups and downs, but I absolutely love who we are, what we do, and as a business unit and our mission, which is to serve and be a voice for Black America, is passionate to me. because there's an old adage that says until the story of the hunt is told from the lion's perspective, it'll always glorify the hunter. And that really just means that there's a space and a place and a need for Black stories, Black creators, a Black perspective, Black news, Black information. And so that's why I've been with the company, because I believe in what we do. And so I enjoy it.
A lot of the individuals who are watching this podcast, they're sellers, they're managers, they're owners, they're general managers. Some of them may be a little frustrated. Some of them may have like, oh, the headwinds are coming at us.
Yeah.
So I want to take you back to something you just said. When you first started, you didn't know if it was for you. And there's some people that are watching this that are probably in that same space right now. And then something happened. Like I'm thinking, I don't know what your story is, but I'm guessing that a couple of somethings happened. It could have been a win. It could have been a loss. Confidence could have been gained. And then boom, here you are.
It was a couple of things. Some of it was my wins. Like when you get that first commission check and those first closes, that's a win for me. But for me, it really was solving the problem. I was excited because I solved someone's problem, a business owner. It was called the Rusty Scupper in Baltimore.
You remember it exactly.
And I remember the business, and they were having a hard way to go. And just being able to create this campaign that they bought into that helped people understand where they were, drive people and make the doors swing. It's a restaurant, and they stayed open. I was excited about that because they were thankful for my support. I went on to do that for the Fullerton Pub, which was a bar and grill off of Pulaski Highway in Baltimore. And I sold them this campaign that was weekly. Steve Rouse, and he went and did a live broadcast there. Still thankful for him. That business grew by the leaps and bounds just for that. So I got addicted to being the problem solver. So I don't know what that means, but that's what really drew me to the business. And then the thing that grew me to grow in the business was not seeing the diversity in leadership. And so I wanted to be someone to open the door for those behind me and create opportunities. And so that's what propelled me into wanting to do leadership, because I was fine being an individual contributor. So that's how my career sort of has leveled up over the years.
How are we doing as an industry serving our multicultural audiences? The RAB spends a lot of time with our multicultural committee.
Yes.
Tony Coles from iHeart is our chair, and we have an amazing committee. Yeah. I love those committee meetings. And, you know, in the year that I've been in this seat, something memorable and impactful has happened in each of those meetings. But, you know, from your point of view, how are we doing?
I think we're doing a good job. We're doing a good job because we're understanding the need. And I think there was a space and a time where we didn't even understand the differences in what multicultural needs were, and that it doesn't separate us. It actually gives us a stronger presence when we understand that different people are messaged two different ways. There's different approaches and different tactics where the strategy can be the same, but our tactics are different. And so I appreciate that the effort is there. People like Tony Coles and Nikki Sparrow are great friends in the industry for me. And while we might sit in different seats from a competitive standpoint, we all believe in the same thing. And so you're having those conversations and having those meetings. I think we're doing a good job. How do we do more with the headwinds that we are right now, the political challenges that we're facing with the erasure and the confusion of what DEI and multicultural is? I think by and large, a lot of people think DEI is multicultural. And they're two separate things. A multicultural marketing strategy, a multicultural business strategy is smart business. It's smart business. DEI is a totally different thing. And if that's what is on the table politically, I understand that we can't control those tides. That ship has sailed. But from a business standpoint, a smart multicultural business strategy and marketing strategy is important for your consumers, for your brand, and that's the message that I think needs to be heard more than anything right now.
And I've had this conversation with Tony.
Yeah.
So I ask you the same thing. What are you hearing in those conversations with your advertising partners? Is this something that you have to spend time on
Absolutely.
to identify that we're talking about two separate things here?
Yeah. In some of the spaces that we operate in, there's a lot of funding that was lost or halted because it was money apportioned to minority health issues or minority health messaging. So that has stopped because the mandate has been for them to stop that. But from a private sector business and brand perspective, we do have to take the time because a lot of businesses are uncertain of how to launch into this space. There's a level of, I'm not sure how this is gonna affect us on a larger scale from a business. Are we putting a target on our back? No pun intended by using the target, because they're in the press right now a lot. However, the answer is just, let's continue to do business and respect the consumer, and message authentically to your consumer bases, whether it's Black and brown populations and the LGBTQ, the queer community. We should be able to have these different conversations with these different consumer groups. And that's all that we're really pushing and having the conversation about right now. And I think a lot of businesses are really uncertain. It's uncertain times and they're uncertain.
Yeah. We mentioned being together, and my view is I cannot remember a time when the industry has been so collaborative. Like, we are willing to pull together. The RAB has been spending a lot of time and effort on the One Voice for Radio initiative, which the tipping point on that was the 3-minute qualifier. Before that, we launched and continue to provide a suite of resources for the entire industry. We put it in front of the paywall, not behind it, at rab.com, called This Is Radio. And it's sharing, and you know, Josh Romani, I know that you worked very closely with. Josh and I had long conversations about this. You know, what resources do you have at Urban One? What resources does Beasley have? What resources does Hubbard have? What resources, and just running down the list. So companies large and small that help tell radio story that could be a resource for everybody.
Right.
And it's radio specific, and everyone can have their secret sauce later. And we're able now to bring that together under the RAB. It's sourced by wherever it came from. But there's more and more of those resources that are now available today in the industry than there ever has been before.
And I think that's important. I think that's amazing because it's helping people. Information is power. And I think for so long, the need for information was there. Some people didn't know where to go to get it or who to ask for it. As a medium, radio, audio is fighting the uphill battle. But people ask me all the time, why do you still work in primarily radio? That is the largest portion of our company asset. And I say, because I still see it work. I still see it work. I still see the results. I'm still driven by the solution. We did a campaign last year which took Ricky Smiley in the morning show to Cincinnati, and when I was able to see over 2,000 people for 2 days straight show up at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning and sit there for 4 hours just to hear Ricky Smiley do his thing, it makes me believe in radio again. Those are the moments that make me see any brand that is in an authentic and relevant space, especially in Black media like that, it creates movement with the consumer. You can't pay for that type of engagement. These days, you have a lot of people who look for influencers online, but influencers have very little trust with people because an influencer can be bought. An influencer can be influenced to do this or say that they love this, and they have no recollection or use for the product that they're pushing. But one thing I can say, and I love using this when I talk to my brand partners, trust is a higher compliment than love.
Hmm.
So when we have trusted voices, trusted resources, trusted talent, a trusted platform that has been here, our company 44 plus years, you can tell me you love me, but it means a lot to me when you trust me with your business and your partnership. And when they do that, we like to see the results.
Okay, Urban One brag time.
Yeah.
So a few weeks ago, again,
Love to brag on it.
we're recording this here at the beginning of April. We're at the NAB, literally on Main Street, Radio on Main Street podcast. So I live in Indianapolis, and we had a tornado that touched down 2 miles from my house on a Wednesday night, and I immediately went to my app. I went to the Urban One News Talk station in Indianapolis, WIBC. I've got the podcast. I mean, not the podcast. I got the app going. I've got my radar going. I went to my safe space. It's the first time in like my life that I didn't have a radio station to go to, jump behind the microphone and give severe weather updates. My wife always said
withdrawal.
No, I was. My wife always says, "Oh, when the tornado sirens would go off, the kids and I would go to the basement and you would go to the radio station." That is true. But on this particular night, so now I was a consumer, and this is the point of the story. I'm a consumer now. And as an advocate, as a big voice for the radio industry, and I love this industry, love it. And I love it for all the reasons that you've stated. But I'm a consumer now. There's a tornado 2 miles from my house in the path of where my daughters live.
Wow.
And it's heading towards literally their subdivisions, and they live very close to each other. And I'm communicating with them. I'm listening to the local radio station. It's providing me information. It's providing me guidance. I'm passing it to them. It also provides me with a little comfort. And you talked about showing up for a Ricky Smiley event, and there's 2,000 people at 4:30 in the morning with big smiles on their face, enthusiastic to be there. Most people don't get enthusiastic about being someplace at 4:30.
No.
But there it was. Here's a consumer of one of your products, huddled in a bathroom as the tornado sirens are wailing, and I'm concerned about my family's safety, but I turn to radio.
And isn't that the two different worlds of, we're talking joy and happiness, and then need for safety and comfort and information. And at the core of that, it is radio, one of the only free things that you can still get in life. I believe in what we do. And I empathize with you in that moment, but I love the fact that you were able to turn to WIBC and get the information that at least brought you that moment of calm in the midst of a storm.
Yeah.
And endless times, that is what our radio stations, not just us, I would love to just say us, but radio as a medium has done for so many across this country. I still listen, not because it's partly my job, but I still actually enjoy the experience, connecting with the talent, listening to hot topics. One of the greatest who ever did it, Wendy Williams, made a living out of just talking celebrity gossip. And here we are years later, and there's blogs and podcasts and YouTube channels all dedicated to the same thing. Radio has been a life-changing medium for a lot of people, and life-saving as well. I just love it. I know I feel weird, like I'm just saying I love it so much, and this is not a paid commercial. I really do love radio.
All right, I have two things, and then we'll wrap. And Sam, I so appreciate your time investing. The RAB, along with a lot of broadcasters, have donated money over the last 13 or 14 years to ensure that college students attend this show. It was the radio show before that, and then when the radio show and this show merged together, we transferred it here. But we have over 100 students from colleges around the United States who are here engaging with broadcasters, who are learning firsthand from us. We had roundtables, we had panels earlier this week. We had tours through the grounds led by the staff of the RAB. Very proud of that. But if you had a group of students here, we see the set, but if you had a group of students right here,
Talk to them about what you see as their future in this industry.
Thank you. First of all, I think that's amazing. What you're doing, talking to the students. The first thing I would say is that I was one of them. I was a college student, a junior going into a rising junior, and my radio production professor said, "Do you know what radio sales is? Media sales."
Media sales.
And I said, "No." And he said, "I think you would be great at it." He said, "Sign up for this program." I didn't ask questions. I signed up for the program. I really thought I was going to be somebody on like QVC selling things on television. I was like, I have a face for
You're
television.
doing it right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be doing that. However, I did a three-day retreat in New York, and it was all about media sales. And I learned what it meant to sell airtime. I came back to Townsend, Maryland, applied for that job, interviewed 6 times to get a salesperson's job. And 26 years later, I have made a career for myself. I have put nieces and nephews through college. I've supported myself and had a wonderful life. This industry is only as good as the new blood that comes into it. And we need the thoughts and the minds of Gen Z and Gen Alpha to come into this industry and help us evolve it to the next level. It's not dying. It may not be their primary source of where they get their entertainment information and news. However, it could be if they want to get into it and help us grow it. It's not corny, and it's not your mom and dad's media form. And we do digital, and we do podcasting, and we do branded content, and we do some really cool things that have made the artists that they love and the influencers that they love become who they are today. This business, the doors are open. I myself mentor and teach college students. I participate in any program. So if you guys need other participants,
You're on the list for next year.
Put me on the list,
Yeah.
because I believe in paying it forward and talking to students about the opportunity. I personally recruit young sales talent intentionally, and to see how many of them have purchased their first home in their 20s and in their early 30s, achieving the American dream because the hustle that they put in is paying them back because of radio. So to those college students, there's opportunity. There's money in them their hills. That's what we used to say. And there's opportunity there as well.
Love the answer. Final question. What are you excited about?
I haven't told you already.
There may be something else.
I pretty much live my life in optimism. One of my favorite books I've ever read and did was Strength Finders 2.0. I'm a futuristic guy. I'm excited about the future. What does the future mean? I don't know. I'm a very spiritual person. I know who holds my future. And because of that, I'm putting the work in. Things may be a little bit dim. The light is dim right now, but it always gets darkest before the sun shines. And so I think that we'll see a return of some of the glory days of radio. I think I'm excited about a lot of the 3-minute rule that's changing. I'm excited to see how that's going to impact our industry and hopefully move us to a more data-enabled environment, because that's the only thing that is not allowing us to be in the glory days of radio, because we don't have a lot of data enabling. But I believe that's coming. I do believe that's coming in some way, shape, or form. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about what our company is doing in the form of video and podcasting and our digital streaming opportunities to make us solvable and to solvent to any of our clients, that we can provide them with multi-platform solutions. So I'm excited about a lot. And hopefully you'll see me here next year saying some of those things have come to pass.
Well, you're going to be in front of the students. I guarantee you that.
I'm looking forward to
book
that.
it.
That's my favorite time.
2026.
2026. Me and the students.
Done.
They usually like me too. I'm like, embarrassing moment. I got to share this with you. I was teaching in the class and they asked for my email address. And at the time, I did have an AOL address. And so
What year was that?
It was not too long ago. I'm embarrassed to say it was still in the 20 it was after right at the top of the pandemic. And the class was like, I heard a lot of snickering and somebody raised their hand and they was like, how old are you? And I was like, I'm really not that old. And they was like, but you have an AOL address. I've since gotten a Gmail address so that I can be cool. But that always sticks with me because that's my AOL address since I was like 12.
Yeah. Did you keep it?
I have it.
Of course
I still
you
have
did.
it.
Of course you did.
It's where all my junk mail goes, but I still have it.
Lead with that with the students. It'll actually give you credibility.
I have
Because we can evolve.
I am the cool uncle to the kids now. I'm the cool uncle.
Sam, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been an engaging conversation. We appreciate it. I love your passion for this industry. I love your origin story.
Thank you.
You know, you can see those two clients. And just a quick observation as we wrap up. I was looking at your eyes as you were telling that story, and like you had this brightness in your smile, in your eyes, going back to a client
26 years ago.
26 years ago, and it was the client's success that you were proud of. It wasn't the sale.
No.
It was the client's success.
It was a success.
Yeah.
And that was what led me to, I can solve people's problems. I may not be a heart surgeon. I may not be the president of the United States, but I can solve a problem, help a business grow, to employ people and pay people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what really endeared me to this business. And it still does to this very day.
That's a great story. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
What was clear in our conversation is a passion for radio. And it has been there in his career since he first discovered sales at the start of his career. And what I loved in his conversation today was that it's not the close that fires him up. It's in fact his clients' successes that make him proud and love what he does each and every day for a living because he knows it's not work. He's actually making a difference.
If you'd like to learn more about radio and its many benefits, we invite you to visit us at rab.com, or you can email us directly at askrab@rab.com. Until next time, it's Radio on Main Street.